Okay, so we have one more volunteer coming. She'll be here in any second now. But why don't you, the three of you, introduce yourselves, and then we'll go. So, bro, why don't we start with you? Yeah.
I am Drew.
Drew, give us a little more, man. Where are you?
I'm a junior. I'm a crim major, hoping to go to law school. Not much else. I don't know.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ariana. I'm also a junior. I'm majoring in human development family studies, and I also want to go to law school and become a family lawyer.
So two future lawyers. Bro, law school? You can use that. All right.
My name's Jason. I'm a senior. I'm aerospace math major. Yeah.
All right, dude. Aerospace and math. What are you, criminology? Yeah. All right. That's all right, though, bro. You got it. You got this. All right. And you, where are you from again?
Like, that's a hard question, but I live in Seattle.
You live in Seattle, but you grew up in Dubai? You're from...
Yeah, so, like, I was born in India, and then when I was 5, I moved to Dubai.
Uh-huh.
Lived there for 10 years. And then when I was 16, I moved to San Diego. Then I came to school here, and then my mom moved to Seattle.
Okay.
So I call Seattle home right now.
Okay. All right, cool. Wait, hang on one second, man. All right. Well, we're just gonna move forward. Okay, so listen, the title for today, We Won. Okay, the we is you all, and the we is most everybody in this classroom. Okay, and so what we're gonna talk about is global. I'm gonna give you a picture of the world from a global perspective. Okay, and I have more slides than I typically do. I probably have about 15 slides that I'm going to show, so I'm going to go through some of them fairly quickly. And a good portion of our conversation is going to happen toward the end, okay, of the class. All right, so. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to this. I want to try to give everybody a perspective that we typically don't take, and so you all are going to be the voices of this perspective. So, before we go to the first slide, well, let's go to the first one. So, this is U.S. foreign assistance, okay? This is over time, so we're going up to 2023. So you guys, you can see this, right? $71.9 billion in 2023. Is that a lot of money? You can just leave the mics on and talk, you guys. Here, hold on to the mic. Is that a lot of money?
That's a lot of money.
What do you mean by that? How do you assess that that's a lot of money in foreign aid? Like, what do you say that's a lot of money? What do you mean? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your point of reference?
Considering it's in the billions and that high, I just view that as a lot of money.
Okay, that's cool. Just your first glance at that is that's a lot. Jason.
I can't comment on whether it's high or not. I think you can say it's high in comparison to 2021, but I'm not sure like how much the U.S. gives in aid to other countries, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that this is talking because of Ukraine, there could be a boost in 2022 and 2023, but you can't arbitrarily state whether it's high or low without like comparing a baseline to what you're comparing it to, I think.
Well, let me ask this. Drew, what percentage of the federal budget do you think this is in the United States?
Uh,
Hold the mic close.
Probably like 12%.
What percent?
12 if I had to throw a number out.
12%?
Maybe less.
Uh-huh. What do you think?
I was going to say like 18, 20%.
18 to 20%? Jazel, how about you?
Like the entire federal budget.
Uh-huh.
I think I would agree with Drew. Probably somewhere around like 10%, maybe slightly
Uh-huh.
lower than 12. I would argue.
Yeah? This is your partner up here. Yeah, what's up? Hey, introduce yourself, por favor.
Hi everyone, my name's Tolu and I'm a first year majoring in biobehavioral health. And what
To-
else?
You go by Tolu.
Tolu.
Tolu. Okay. All right. Awesome. And I love that you made a grand entrance. That's awesome. Okay, so listen. This is the foreign aid that the United States gives out or gave out in 2023. You don't have to put that on. It's good. Do you think that's a lot of money? Foreign aid. That's aid we gave to other nations in the world. U.S. tax dollars.
No.
No? What percentage of the U.S. budget do you think this is? Federal budget.
It's like 15, 20%.
15, 20%? Oh. What do you think? Okay, hang on. Go to the next slide. So it's basically 1.1, 1.2% of the federal budget, okay? Now, what's that mean? What's that mean to you? Like, it's about 1%. Now, is that a lot of money?
Not at all.
Why
no.
not? Like what?
Because it's barely any of the full income, and I don't know, I feel like we could give a lot more.
Based on what, though? See, this is not an answer. You don't have answers to this, right? This is the first time you've ever thought about this, okay? There's no right or wrong, but you're suddenly saying, wait, hang on. It seemed like a lot of money, but now that it's only a little over 1%, maybe it's not very much money, and we could give more. Of course we could give more. So I'm just sort of watching your mind, where your thoughts go, because this is what's really interesting, is where do our thoughts go on these questions? Jazel, do you have an answer? Does it seem like a lot of money?
So what interests me about that graph is if you look before 2019, you actually have spikes that go above 1.17%. I'm not very informed on what was happening in the world before 2019, but there was a huge dip. I'm going to assume that the COVID-19 had something to do with this. But given the fact that it was higher than 1.17% pre-COVID time,
Yeah.
I would argue that it's pretty nominal, actually might be lower than what the U.S. was doing in the past.
Yeah, but listen, it's not that much, really, relatively speaking. 1.4% down to, it still isn't a lot, relatively speaking. But nonetheless, okay. Bro, when you see that it's almost like 1.2%, what do you make of that? Given what you said, what you thought it was.
Zelensky didn't even get half that. Was my first thought, just the thing he said on TV, that he didn't even see like half the money that we claim to have sent him. That's my first thought. Also, just that it's, in my opinion, a whole percent too much. It should be like 0.017, if that much.
Okay, well, let me, Tolo, how about, let me ask, what do you think this pays for? What do you think this money's going to?
Do I think the money's going
Yep,
to?
it's foreign aid. You hear this term wait, how old are you, 18?
I'm 19.
19, okay, so you hear this term foreign aid. Where are we sending this money? What's it paying for?
Quite sure.
Hold the mic close.
I'm not quite sure exactly.
Where do you think it's going?
I don't know, third world countries.
Yeah, okay, but and what do you think it's paying for? What kinds of things do you imagine that we're spending this money on?
The military.
Military for one. Hold the mic really close.
Military.
Okay, what else?
Not sure.
Yeah? It's aid. Think about that. So hang on. Jazel, how about you? What do you think it's going toward? It's aid, assistance.
Like ideally, you would be going for shelters, things where like a country which has been impacted by some sort of like global pandemic or is going through certain problems, and the U.S. has good ties with. They might be providing aid for those. So I would be thinking about shelter, food, possibly helping stabilize their economy in some way, and also like military defense. Like
Okay.
we mentioned Ukraine, so it could be possible that it helps with their like ability to defend for themselves.
Okay, so Tolu, like healthcare, food, aid, these kinds of things, shelter, building houses, okay. Anything else? What do you think is the biggest thing we're spending on?
Like out of this budget,
Yep,
salaries.
salaries.
Yeah.
What, and after that, but what's okay, salaries for sure, but what's it going for?
Like on paper?
Yeah, like what salaries people are working in what area?
Food, medicine, shelter.
Okay, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say healthcare. Like would be the biggest one.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so here we go. Economic development. So these are this is, helping to create jobs and helping to move all sorts of things forward. Projects, building roads, building dams, building electrical grids, humanitarian assistance, healthcare, peace and security, right? And military was 11%. So this is, it's going to a lot of different things. So a little over 1% of our budget is going to a lot of different things, okay? So here, how is that? Does that make sense? Does this feel like, okay, that's what we're doing? You're helping other people out in the world. You all, the four of you are paying tax dollars to this government, to your federal government. And your federal government takes that money and sends some of it overseas to help other people. How is that? Ariana, how is that for you?
Yeah, I mean that sits right with me. I feel like we should help other countries if we have the money available to do so.
Well, people here say, well, we have a lot of problems in this country. Why aren't we helping people in this country? What about that? What would you say to them?
I'd say I feel like they help our country and they help other countries the best they can.
Yeah? So you're just, and this is good. I love you're just having these thoughts for the first time. Drew, how about you? These are, we have a lot of problems here. We're giving a lot of money away to other people.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fires in Hawaii where they got $700, and I think it was Virginia, I want to say, where they got 500 for their wrecked houses.
Yeah, but hang on. That was 500. That was an immediate loan, right away.
Right.
Okay. So you basically say, hey, I need some cash right now. Here's $500. Here's $1,000. That's not all anybody got.
Right.
Okay, that's the FEMA thing. But no, but that's really important.
I just mean more in the sense of a lot of these developing nations that we're probably propping up their entire economy. And so theoretically we could invest that into destroyed areas of America.
Okay, and then what would these nations do who have a destroyed economy? Let's take something like Haiti. What would Haiti do then without any foreign aid?
Don't know.
Whose responsibility is it?
80?
Yeah?
I would say so.
Uh-huh. How about the countries where we've played a pivotal role in their history? Like a place like Guatemala, El Salvador.
Right, where we just went in and fucked shit up.
Yeah,
For lack of
in a
better-
matter of
yeah,
speaking. How about those countries?
I mean,
How about Haiti, where we went in and did that? But okay, go ahead.
no, I mean, it's a fair point. Yes, we are we're part of the reason that they're a third world country now.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's a moral question. Do we owe it to them to try to fix what we did? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could definitely say yes, but I mean, they're not America. We shouldn't be. I don't think we should be propping them up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tolu, so you're Nigerian, right? And you have family in Nigeria.
Yeah,
How often are they asking for money?
every day.
Yeah, what are they asking for?
They're asking for money just to feed the whole entire family, and every day, to help take care of their own kids, to take care of themselves. Even my grandfather, he has dementia, just to get him the proper care that
So,
he needs.
so school supplies, uniforms to go to school, books, these kinds of
Clothes,
things,
everything, yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
And how is that for you as an American now, right? So here you are.
Yeah.
Is your family, are you citizens or residents?
Citizens.
Citizens, okay.
Yeah.
So how is that for you? Like this is a form of foreign aid, right? That you are, you make money, you're funneling it off to your family members across the Atlantic.
I would say it's frustrating because we have our own problems down here,
Uh-huh.
and we get that call quite often. But I understand, like, times are tough down there, and they just can't go out and make that easy money like we can down here.
Mhm.
So that's why we always help out best we can.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about this foreign aid going to things and countries, and Nigeria gets money from the U.S., right? How is that for you? We're taking tax dollars from people here, and we're funneling that and sending it off.
Can you ask again? Ask me your question one more time.
Yeah. How is it for you when you know that, okay, we're taking these tax dollars and we're sending money off to nations, around Africa, around Asia, Latin America?
It's frustrating because where is my money going if they're still struggling?
If they're still struggling. Ah, okay. That's interesting. Jaisal, well, let me go. I'm going to ask a different question here. How about, can you go to the next? So here's the thing. About half of all foreign aid that we send out is tied. And let me explain what this means. That means, like, when we get farmers to grow, we're going to send wheat to Ethiopia, okay? Well, where's the wheat come? Are farmers just donating that? No. We take tax dollars, we pay farmers for their wheat, and then we pay, U.S. transporters to transport that wheat to the granaries, and then we have to get it to the railroads, and then we gotta send it by rail off to the ports, and then we gotta send it on the port. We have to load it onto ships, and we have to send it across the world. And then once we get it across the world, we gotta put it onto trucks or rail cars, and we gotta send it to where it needs to go. And all of that is part of the aid process. Okay? And so about 50% of all this aid is tied, which means that we're taking, see this, Niche, I think I do this on this one on the right. So check this out. So we send this money, this is all these dollars here, these billions of dollars. We send it around here. Some of it goes to the recipient country, but the rest of it comes back around here. So it's tax dollars being spent on Americans who are producing the aid that we're going to give abroad. So about 50% of it is actually coming right back to this country. Meaning that, that $79 billion or whatever, about half of it is just going right back into the U.S. economy. So, Drew, how is that for you? Think about that, about half of it. So all that number, we can cut it in half. Even the aid to Ukraine. Aid to Ukraine came in the form of military weapons that were made in the United States, produced in the United States, shipped over to Ukraine by American companies. And so, many Americans profit. But there are a lot of Americans in Washington lobbying to get the United States government to send more aid to Ukraine because they want to build all those weapons to send over to Ukraine. Not you, not me. I'm not going to profit from that, but they will. So oh, okay. So how is that? Tying the aid like that? Just put it in that perspective.
With the food aid or like
Yeah,
to
any aid,
Ukraine?
any
Okay,
aid at all. It's all the same.
Well, for the aid, like this diagram shows, I mean, I feel like it'd be a lot simpler to just invest all of that straight into American farmers so that they could just produce. Wouldn't that, it would cut out the middleman, so to speak?
Yeah. But listen, if we got farmers who are overproducing food, so they're just not going to sell their grain, okay? And then the farmers like, okay, so we're not going to produce this. So they're not going to, you know what I mean? They're not going to make money.
Couldn't they export it?
Yeah, but who's going to buy it? You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, Ethiopia is not going to buy it. Nigeria is not going to buy it. Haiti's not going to buy it. Like, it's complicated, So sometimes you're going to go dump it on another country. And so, like, all right, it's a thing, right? It's a thing. So here, go to this next slide. Here's the other thing. How important are these countries around the world for the well-being of the United States? Ariana, what do you think? How important, we're in a global economy. How important are these countries for your well-being and the well-being of everybody here and the U.S. and the U.S. economy and the U.S. political system? And
I don't think they're that important on the effects of the way we live, but if we're going to be trading resources or technology with them, I feel like that's a benefit. But
okay, so then it's important.
then it's important.
Because we are trading. The world is a global trade hub.
Mhm.
Everybody's trading all around the world. So what happens in some of these countries is also really important for what happens here. Okay. All right, go ahead. Do you have anything else?
No,
But have you ever thought about that?
not really, honestly.
Okay. Jaisal, how about you? How important these countries? Right?
Actually, I think they're quite important. So you mentioned about like how there's like trade occurring all around the world.
Mhm.
Obviously, there are resources in the U.S. that due to climate or certain geographical conditions can't be produced. So maybe the aid, I'm not sure how true this is, but the aid could help build good foreign like relations with certain countries
Mhm.
to be able to get like source of material that you might not find in the U.S. that could be
Yeah.
important for sustaining the economy.
Okay.
I mean, I like coffee, and a lot of coffee comes from Africa. So,
Okay.
there's things that we don't get in the U.S. that we are able to get from other countries.
Mhm.
So I think that trade aspect is important to think about. Also, a lot of these countries are in very pivotal places geographically for trade routes. Like whenever you go into the Middle East, for instance, the Middle East is known a lot for their trade routes.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of aids getting sent around there. And then Ukraine, we know the reasons.
So here, let me give you one on coffee. So right now there are these, we're kind of in a little bit of a crisis because the coffee crop around the world is suffering from some diseases that people are really, really concerned about. Okay? So if we don't get on this, so let's go back. Can you go back to where we spend the aid money? One more? Yeah. So if we don't get on this, right, for some of this economic development work, if we don't get on it to figure out, yo, man, we got to figure out this coffee blight here because if we don't figure this out, like, in 5 or 10 years, the world could lose half the coffee crop. And so we're now suddenly taking our foreign aid. So you don't think anything of it. Do you like coffee, bro? Do you like coffee? You like coffee? You like coffee? Okay, so the three of you, this guy doesn't really care, but the three of you, what's that? Tea? All right, tea. All right, but the rest of us, I love coffee. And if suddenly the coffee industry collapses, in different parts of the world, Vietnam produces more coffee than any nation in the world. So let's say in Vietnam, the coffee industry collapses, and we think like, oh, okay, well, the Vietnamese didn't get on that. But for us, that's a really important thing. So we're going to spend money to try to figure out what's going on with the coffee crop in Vietnam and in Costa Rica and Ecuador and Brazil and so on to, make sense of that because that's the well-being of us. We're connected to the coffee crop or chocolate in Cote d'Ivoire or whatever it is, wherever it is. So what do you think of that? When you put it in that context, some of this aid is actually really for your benefit.
Well, if we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and out of concern for the necessity out of like all America, like looking at it from that perspective, wouldn't it make the most what's that expression, bang for your buck, to invest billions of dollars into producing coffee here?
We can't produce coffee here. Yeah.
Why not?
Because we don't have the right soil. We don't have the right. It's just that we don't have the right geography to do coffee in any significant way. All right. Yeah. Coffee is very hard to produce. Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing, dude. Do you see what just happened right there? You're saying like, well, let's just produce coffee here. You're making a very thoughtful statement. Well, why are we going to worry about what happens over there? Let's just do it here. But we can't do it here. So you see, like, you can have all these opinions about the fact that we're spending all this money on the coffee crop on the other side of the world. But the fact is, without even realizing that's not going to make any sense. This is the problem that we're in all the time, having to make these kinds of decisions. So, hang on one second. All right, here, let me keep going. Can you go back to the foreign assistance? Right there. Right there. So, go ahead, Jamie. Oh man. Oh my God. I have a question coming in my ear from the stream from Jamie, and I'm like, it is such an interesting question. Yeah. No, I heard you. Okay. Listen. So here's where we're at. We're in this really complex global world where we're all interconnected. And then what happens in one side of the world has an impact for life on the other side of the world. That's just the world we're in. So here, let me show you. Go to the next slide. Now, USAID. So this is the organization that the current president, the administration, wants to shut down. USAID. So they're responsible for distributing about 60% of all the foreign aid that we distribute. And it's just like, shut it down. Okay? So that's going to include all sorts of things, including, shipments of grain to Ethiopia, to people that are in drought, shipments in western Nigeria where there's a drought going on, right? Shipments in lots of different places where it's like, man, let's just shut it down and be done. Okay, that's what this argument is about. So that's what we're having this conversation about, so that you all can have a little bit better understanding when you see this USAID in the news, and you're aware of it in this country anyway, you have some kind of understanding. So here, let me show you a couple things. We won, okay? I want to give you 3 stories here. Okay, go to the first one. So, let me show you one way in which you win. So this young man right here, that's my wife. And we were in Haiti. We had a project in Haiti for many, many, many years in Social 19. But we've spent a lot of time in Haiti. This young kid right here, he's an entrepreneur. I mean, this kid, amazing kid. First off, cool personality, really smart. Super innovative. He learned how to make these bracelets, and then he figured out he went online and he found a machine that could help him make bracelets faster, and he built the machine for himself so he could make bracelets faster. And then, not only that, but he found out that if he bought a large spool of thread, like large spools of thread, instead of buying small amounts, if he bought large spools, then he could buy it for like a 1/5 of the price. And so he gets a loan from somebody. He gets someone to give him a loan. And he gets someone to take him downtown to this area where he could buy this thread. And he buys these big spools of it. And because he can get it so inexpensively, then he's paying them back for the loan. This kid's like 9 years old, okay? Imagine that. And this guy is just it's just spectacular after another. He's still living. He lives in Cité du Soleil. And Cité du Soleil is this really, really poor neighborhood in Port-au-Prince. And he still lives there. It's possible he's not even alive at this point because of the violence that is happening in Cité du Soleil, okay? You guys win. You could be him. You could have all the greatest ideas in the world. All the greatest ideas. And let me tell you, if you met this kid would thrive at Penn State. He's so smart and so talented and such a personality. He's not here. We weren't going to get him here, you know. So you win. You're not him. You weren't born there. So we have aid going to Haiti to help people like him to start jobs to make money. Okay? All right, that's cool. So why not help him? Because, bro, this kid, the house he lives in is probably the size of this screen, maybe. He lives with 7 or 8 people in a house that size, okay? And, well, here, let me give you the next one. Go to the next slide. This is Melissa. So Melissa is a young woman. So that's Ernso on the left. Ernso is my friend. Ernso is the father of a former student of mine many years ago. He's my brother, actually. Ernso and I are brothers. I mean, we're soul brothers, right? Melissa is a young woman who grew up in a house about half the size of this screen with a single light bulb hanging down from the ceiling. A single light bulb. She used to study. We put her through college. She's a doctor now, right? So when you see her in this photo, she's in medical school, but now she's a doctor in Haiti. She used to go outside in the street light to study because the single light bulb wasn't bright enough in her house. That's it. And if she didn't have us, 119, it was students of 119, raised money, and we just year after year after year, we just gave her money, her and her sister went to law school, and to do this. If she didn't have that, she never would have gone to school because she's so poor, right? You win. You guys win. She wins, but she won. She won the lottery because she just got lucky to have met me one day on our trip, or met Ernso, and Ernso said, "Hey, Sam, we got to help these 2 young girls. Like, what do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, we'll put them through school in our class." That's crazy, right? And she works at a hospital in Haiti. Man, dude, if I took you to the hospital where she works, you couldn't imagine that it's a hospital. You can't imagine. And so she doesn't have the education that she would get if she went to med school here. But it's what it is. And it's good. I mean, it's what it is, right? It just is what it is. All right, there's one. So look at that. If she was here, totally different world, but she's not. She's in Haiti. Next slide. So in the DRC right now, here's foreign aid. So this aid's getting cut in the DRC. All right? Now, there's been a war going on, including the Second Great War of Africa, since 1998. 6 million deaths, 7 million people displaced. The amount of violence is just unfathomable. And what we're fighting over, cobalt, copper, tantalum, gold, tin, all important for electronics. Bro, your phone right here, that stuff's going right in. The reason we're fighting in the DRC is because we're fighting over the precious metals that are going to go into this phone. They're fighting over it. It's a proxy war, different groups fighting over it, including with weapons that are sold by U.S. weapons manufacturers, okay? And they're all fighting for this so that we can have this. Think about that. Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything about the DRC and the?
The most I've heard about it is someone's gonna get mad at me for getting this wrong. I think I might be wrong, but a UFC fighter named Francis Ngannou escaped from the DR
Okay.
or the Dominican.
The DRC, yeah.
Yeah, DRC. Thank
Okay.
you. And it's a very powerful story. He escaped and then got sent back, escaped again, eventually made it to, I believe, France,
Mm-hmm.
where he learned how to kickbox and then box, and then eventually came to the UFC. And if anyone watches UFC, they know the name Francis Ngannou.
Okay. Yeah.
Really amazing
So
story.
there it is. So now you know where he's coming from. You know what's going on. So we're cutting aid to the DRC, even though right now the violence has escalated again. We're cutting aid there because we've decided, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to shut USAID down and we're going to cut aid to the DRC. Even though the precious metals are still going to come. They're still going to go to our phones. But we're not responsible. Jazel, how is that? How is that for you? Like, do they deserve our aid, or is it just life?
I think the word deserves loaded there.
Okay.
I can't it's hard to argue on either side here because you do think that they would need aid. And then you start thinking about how much of the aid is being used productively there too. So like you mentioned about how half of the aid ends up coming back around. So
Well, half the aid we're gonna send. It's not about being productive. Look, it's about the U.S. tax dollars going back into Americans and American companies, right? So some of it's also about being productive, of course, on the ground, right? How much corruption is there? These kinds of things, right? But
in general, I mean, I'm upset about reading that. I've not heard much about the conflicted DRC in the DRC, but those metals are precious for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's justified to say they need aid just because, we need those metals. I think just the idea of 6 million deaths or even 7 million people getting internally displaced is dissettling for me personally.
yeah.
So I do think that if there's a potential for aid, it should be given.
Hey, Tolu. So when you think about how much Americans know about Africa, about Nigeria, how much do average Americans know about Nigeria, would you say, in your conversations with people?
I would say only
Hold it really close.
like 5%. A lot of people don't really know.
Like, it's just a very small number of
Very
people
small,
know.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with what's going on in the DRC?
A little bit, but not so much about what he said. Just a little bit.
Uh-huh. So when you think about your foreign aid dollars going to stop this, look, can I just tell you, can I put another thing out here? This is like a trigger warning kind of thing, but the estimate in this period of time is there's so many different layers to it, but the estimate is up to 500,000 women have experienced sexual violence. 500,000, okay? So this is all happening in your lifetimes. It's all just happening day after day after day, right? So, for you, as an African, it's a different country, right? It's a different world, but still, when you think about, think about your life here, think about this life here, think about your life as a Penn State student, and think about, okay, small portion of your tax dollars. You were at work before you came here. That's where you were late, right? Coming from work. So a small portion of your work is going to get pulled out by taxes and sent to places like this, right? How is that?
It's just sad. It's sickening.
Hold it really close.
I said that it's sad. It's very sickening. There's not much I could say. I wish I could do something. I wish I could do more and help, but I don't want to say like life goes on. I don't want to say that, but it's just I don't know. At this point, it's just so much happening.
Yeah. Okay. So it's confusing, right? You're 19 years old. It's confusing. You don't have to know the answers, but it's very confusing. Okay? Are you confused? Sufficiently confused? All right, let me go in a slightly different direction here. Let me go to the next slide. All right. Look at this. Just so you get a sense of the total wealth here. So this is population, right? So the U.S. is about a quarter the size of China and India. And so here's the total wealth in the world, and here's how much is controlled by the U.S. The next is China. We have Japan. We have India. But China's 4 times the size of the U.S. So it's a really wealthy country. It's a really wealthy country. How can we? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I was just wondering, is this by like government wealth or the wealth of the
The
inhabitants?
total wealth
like
of all the
population?
people.
I mean,
Add it all up.
yeah, I could kind of see that then. I think logically it would make sense for us to be that significant in terms of
But
total
how
wealth.
is it like so? But think about this, bro. We're so wealthy compared to so many other nations. Like, when you think about aid, we're going to give aid here, we're going to give aid there. Is there a part of you that just can go like, oh my God, how much more wealthy can we be? So how about that question? How much more wealthy can we be? Because you imagine the problems we have here. Imagine some of the problems that some of these other nations have, man. Okay, so it's a question. I'm not setting you up for it. I just want you to actually challenge your own kind of sense of, I don't know, how you see the world.
Well, I would say part of the reason we're so wealthy is because, the standard of living and inflation are also a lot higher in America. That like $1 in America doesn't go as far as it would in a lot of these other countries. you
Yeah.
know? I think it's like, on paper we have the most money, but, and I'm not gonna say we don't. We definitely do, but like, I guess I'm trying to say like, we would need to be just to support ourselves. You know what does that make any sense? Like,
Yeah, so let me show you something here, okay? Yeah, that's good, right? Like you're thinking out loud. You're trying to make sense of it. That's fine. Can you go back one slide? So all those precious metals at the bottom, especially cobalt and copper and tantalum, all those help to create this new wealth with technology in the past 30 or 40 years, man. Without those, nothing would happen. What would happen if the DRC wasn't in a violent civil war? What would happen if the DRC actually had a strong government and said, hey, kind of like OPEC did 40 years ago. So you guys want the oil? Because oil was really cheap till all the oil-producing nations came together and they said, yeah, guess what? You used to buy this really inexpensively, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to quadruple the price of it, and we're going to control the price. You want your oil? You're going to pay the money. It's our resource. It's under the ground in our nations. You want it? You're going to pay. What would happen if the DRC had done that with all these precious metals?
you want like a tinfoil hat answer? We would
Yeah.
probably depose them.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we're-
And then well, but let's say we weren't able to do that. Where would you ever have heard of Apple, Microsoft, one after another, Google,
Right.
these countries?
Then they would have to pay a lot more to make their iPhones, 100%.
There'd be so many other things, right? So
Yeah.
you see this way in which all this stuff is linked together, which is kind of interesting. Huh. Ariana, can you go forward one slide? When you see this, do you feel like you're an American? Do you feel like, yeah, I'm a rich American?
Not personally, no, but I definitely feel like I know we are the wealthiest country, and I feel like part of it is because we're known as, the land of the free, and like a lot of people immigrate here to come find job opportunity, and we're also known to give to other countries. So, like, not personally, I don't feel that way, but our country, like, absolutely.
Yeah, like Tolu's family came here for opportunities, right? Bro, okay, hang on. I'm going to help you personally feel it. How many people? Okay. All right, so listen. Let's do this. Let me show you something. So here, this is about 100 people right here in this bottom area. Okay? Can you Okay, so we're going to assume this is 100 people here. Okay? Because it's about 100. All right? So I'm going to show you a couple things. Can you go to the next slide? All right, so 10% of the world's population owns 3/4 of all the wealth, controls it. All right? So that's here. So can you guys, the front row, not you, bro. Can the 4 of you stand up? 4 of you stand up, and the 6 of you stand up. Okay? So here, of all these people here, these are, turn around, this is the rest of the world here. Okay? All these people are the rest of the world. And you guys are the 10%. And like you're controlling 3/4 of the wealth, which is pretty, bro, you can stand up actually. Yeah. So 10%. So you're the see all these folks here? So see that way? Like you're in the wealth, like they're below you. Like, man. Okay, got it? Do you feel wealthy? Like, can I have it? How do you feel? When you look at it that way, do you feel like, yeah?
Yeah, I feel pretty well.
Looking at them? Look at them. It's all probably not the back row. G's counting right now, so we're going to figure out exactly how many people there are. Yeah?
Yeah.
Look this way? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Bro, how about you?
Yeah.
But do you feel, how do you feel just not looking? Turn this way. Turn toward me.
Oh.
Do you feel wealthy?
Just looking at you.
Yeah, just like
looking at
thinking
you?
about your life. Just you.
No.
Yeah, okay. So now you're in the wealthiest 10%, and these are the people below you. 10%. Dang. Yeah. Feel wealthy now? How much? 103? Okay, so it's perfect. There's 103 people here. But now they're all below you, bro. You're standing on their shoulders. So how about now?
Yes.
Yeah? See, this is part of the perspective, right? Okay, hang on. Stay standing for a second. Actually, here's the thing. Actually, sit down for a second. I want to figure out how to do this. Okay, so listen. Take a look at this square here. Top 10%. So there's 100 people here. Okay, you got it? You following this slide? Let me be really clear. It's 100 people here. 50 of them crowded into 2 squares because the poorest 50% in the world owns 2% of the global wealth. So these are a lot of folks, especially outside any of the big cities in Nigeria, right? Okay, so 10% of them control 74. They control all of this in red. Now, what do you think? Take a look at this classroom here. How many do you think are in the 10%? Forget about the thing. Just look at everybody in the classroom. How many you think come from the wealthiest, are part of the wealthiest 10%? What's your gut feeling? Of all the students in the classroom, how many are in the wealthiest 10%?
2.
2? 2 students? Uh-huh. How about you, Ariana? Of all these students in the classroom?
Yeah, like 1 to 3.
1 to 3 students? Huh, Jazel.
I'm going to go with close to maybe 2 to 3 as well. I don't think, maybe even 0. I don't think,
Really?
yeah.
Huh. Tolu, how about you?
I'd say at least like 5.
5. Huh. So the question really becomes, who's like in really even the top square here? The top square would be the top 1% even. Okay? So here, let me help you on this. virtually everybody in this classroom, everybody, I would say, but maybe 20, 25 people are in the top 10% in the world. Dude. Everybody but maybe like 20 people. Maybe, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb right here. And I'm going to say this entire section right here is not in those 10 squares, controlling 76% of the world's population. This entire section, okay? But the rest of the class, these other sections right here, they're in the 10%. So everybody in the classroom, where are you sitting? Most of you are sitting here. Some of you are sitting here, but most of you are not. So y'all, like, Jaisal, how is that?
I mean, to be honest,
wait, hang on. Before you say that, I want to emphasize, you said like 2 people, you said a couple people, you said a few people, and you said 5. And I'm saying almost the entire class. But go ahead. How is that?
the thing is, that's pretty not surprising, but it makes sense given that everyone here is able to afford tuition, and then we compared to other countries, it's very different. But the thing is, even in the U.S., like if we go back to the previous slide, you mentioned the whole, like the total worth in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the top 10%, like no one here, no offense to anyone if they are able to control the economy to that extent, but I don't think there are a lot of people who would be in the top 10% who would actually be controlling a lot of the global capital. Like no one here could actually control like some sort of a major portion of like the U.S. stock market, for instance.
Yeah.
But there are like a few sub 0.5% or maybe 0.005 who actually are controlling all of the money flows, and they're going to be doing it to benefit themselves. So it becomes interesting because they all would be, for instance, benefiting from all the metals that Congo produces.
Well,
right?
hang on though. They're also going to do it to benefit the people, the citizenry in their country, which would be all of you. Right, so when the really wealthy people in the U.S. are doing things to ensure that their company and their lives are really moving forward, are doing well and expanding, and their capital is growing, that also benefits all of you. Yeah. So like, Here, let me show you another. But by the way, you understand. Poorest, half the world's population controls 2% of the wealth. Just hold that for a second. That's nobody in here. This is nobody at all. That's hardly anybody in the United States. Hardly anyone in the United States. Right? So what we're doing is we're putting some perspectives on this. Here, go to the next slide. Let me show you this. This is a little more complicated, but I'm going to break it down for you in a second. Okay? Here. The richest 1% of the population in the world, global wealth distribution, controls 45.8% of all the global wealth. The richest 1.1%. Okay, you got that. They control almost half of the wealth. 1% of the world's population controls almost half of the wealth. Okay, and then you have this next 11%. So you got the top 12% here, the richest 12% of the world's population is controlling just about 85, almost 86% of the global wealth. Dude, 12%. And here, let me show you this. So here, go to the next slide. So here's who's in the richest 1%. You have $1 million in wealth. So you take, that's each person in a household. So now you take the cash and stocks and bonds, liquidities, cash and like stocks that are liquidities and so on. And you take home equity, and you take the value of your large purchases, and then you subtract all your debt, which for you all, it's going to include student loan debt and so on. But right now, we're going to put you in the household of your parents. Okay? 1 million in wealth. And what I would say is, who's either in the 1 million or you will be very shortly. And what this includes right now, and this is really important for your generation, is this great generation of all your grandparents who are taking all this wealth that they have and they're passing it down to your parents. and you all are going to school and you're going to start making money, and all that wealth goes into it all gets put together. So we break it up per household. So it's very difficult to do, but we can have a pretty good idea. I would say, what do you think? How many people in here do you think either are currently in the richest 1% or pretty quickly will be within 10 years or so? Because you're going to also take your parents' wealth and the value of their houses and land and so on. What do you think? Jazel, we'll start with you. What do you think?
So that's defined by $1 million in wealth.
Yeah, $1 million per person.
I would say like 80 to 90% of people, if everyone's already in the top 10%. I would argue that because our tuition comes around like, if you're an international student, you'd be paying around $200K for the 4 years.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people go into debt on that. So, you know, be careful on that. You're probably going too high.
Okay, but I would still argue that over 50%, or around above 50%. Roughly.
You'd say about 50% of you all either are currently, or of this classroom, are currently or will soon be part of the richest 1%. Uh-huh.
I would argue so.
Ariana, how about you?
I'd say like 3/4 of us would, because if we're most of us are already starting in the top 10%, and then we're all pursuing an education at a pretty good university. So I feel like on top of our parents' money, 3/4 of us would obtain about $1 million.
And by the way, this includes value of a house, right? So your parents might have a house down in Bucks County that maybe it's worth, or Westchester, maybe it's worth like $400,000. Maybe they still owe the bank $100,000, so therefore they've only got $300,000 in equity in the home, you know. So it's not like, you know. How about you? What do you think? Well, no, hang on. I'm going to come back to you, bro. How about you?
If we're including home ownership,
Uh-huh.
probably not the majority of us, just because, like, you know, a lot of the billionaire 1%ers and corporations are buying land, buying property, and so it's going to be hard for us to own homes in the future. And so if we're including that, then it would be probably not the majority of us, because we wouldn't be able to own homes, so we wouldn't be able to add it to our assets.
We'll see. So here's the richest 12%, 100,000 to $1 million in wealth. Okay? 100,000 to $1 million. Now, that's where I say, yeah, take your household, think about how much your house is worth. Maybe your family has an RV, you have a couple cars, you have money saved, you have this, you have that. Your grandparents, they got a farm, they're going to leave it to your parents, et cetera, et cetera. That's basically everyone in the classroom except this small group. Actually, it's probably about half of this group, but I'm going to be really open to say I'm going to say it's about half of you, okay? The rest of you are in the richest 12%. That includes all of you. You're in the richest 12%. So here, that's this back row. So those of you in the back row, can you just stand up for a second? Those of you in the back row, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, you all, not you all, you sit down. So you all, everybody that you see, turn to your right, look at these folks over here. Everybody that you see is poorer than you in the world. Everyone you see, right here. Every person that I can touch, right here, they're all poorer than you. Like you are. So you're killing it, man. Like you're killing it. Like, oh my God, look at that. So can you all see? There, these are, you know, this is your class. This is your class right here. This is it. This is the world. Man. Okay, thanks, y'all. How is that? The whole class. Ariana, how about you? How is that?
I mean, when you look at it like that, you seem pretty ordinary compared to everybody else.
Yeah, because you don't look at the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. If you're not looking around and seeing how people are living, it's like, damn. Are any of you in the 1%? Are you in the 1%, bro? Are you? Not, no, but like with your parents, your family and stuff, you're not there yet?
Maybe.
Maybe, you don't know. Yeah? Okay. This is big. Who does have $1 million for every person in your household? Bro, you got it? How is it? Wait, hang on. Talk right in there. How is that for you, man? Dude, you don't look like you don't look like that. Dude, here, stand up for a second. Can you get a shot of this guy? Wait.
Should I appreciate that? Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. Look at this guy. This guy, he's in the richest 1% in the world with your hat and like, look at you, man. Like, oh my God, this is it. This is the dream. Yo, this is the dream. This is the guy you want to marry right here if you want to get married. What's your name, bro?
I'm Matt.
Matt. So you can have a seat, man. Thanks. How is it to be in the?
It is nice. It definitely has its perks. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't know though, really.
No, I mean me personally. I'm not in the 1%, but my parents, I'm sure are. Yeah.
You're sure your parents are.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
How is it to flip the script like that?
Well, it's very relieving.
Hold it close.
It's very relieving. It's the kind of idea. Have you ever heard of like a trustafarian, someone who goes abroad because they know they have money to fall back on?
Yeah.
It's kind of that. It's that feeling that if something goes wrong, like if I fail, it's okay because I have people that love me and I have wealth to catch me. Like it's okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Which I understand. Not everybody would have that.
No, not everybody would. Dude, you're probably in the half of 1%. You're in that little square right there, and you're standing on the other person's shoulders. Did you have a question or a comment?
Generally?
Yeah, no, you had the microphone.
Like
so did
just
you?
generally, you mean, or like?
Yeah,
like
well,
you like earlier.
Yeah, well, how is this for you to put these in this way?
Well, earlier, like we started the class talking about international relations. And like IR theory, like very simplified. Like
Hold it close.
Part of it states like what goes around comes around. Like there's two key concepts in IR theory. There's more than that, but two of them are there's like liberalism, and I'm reading from my notes.
No, wait, hang on. Yeah, no, don't go there, bro.
I'm not gonna start teaching.
No, here,
but, like,
no. Here's what I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
How is it to see? Because you're a thinker, right? How is it to see that? To think that so many people in this class are really, really in the top. Really the top 12%. Like when you walk in here, next class, can you walk in here when you walk around campus, can you walk around with that in mind?
Yes, I can, but it's hard to conceive how many people in the world have been like scaled down to how many people are in this class.
Yeah. It's hard to do that, which is why we don't do that, right? You don't do it. And so, Tolu, like you, for example, you're not in that bottom 50%. You're not even in the bottom 60 or 70%. You're like, here, let me show you. Can you go back? Can you go back one more? By the way, this is how much 55% of the world's population, each household has less than $10,000. Okay. You're not there, right? And here's, 100,000, here we go, 10,000 to 50,000, or to 100,000, right? 10,000 to 100,000. Look at that. This is like, it's just different. Now, can we go back? Can you go all the way back for a second, and then we're going to be finished here? Keep going. One more. Yeah, right there, back. Go back. Yeah, right there. Is that a lot of money? Tolu, is that a lot? Is 1% of our federal spending goes around the world? Is that a lot of money?
No.
When you think about the wealth that people have, because if you're wealthy, the other people are not wealthy.
Oh. Then yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quick. Yeah. All right. Hey, can we have a round of applause for Sid?